Hey everybody, it's Keith with Fire and Dice back again with another video, and alongside me I have
NPC Voices, Joshua Blake, and today we're going to be talking about the 5 monsters that you should have in your one-shots or your campaigns.
Yes, so we're also going to probably throw in a couple little extras that got left out of the top 5, but we want to throw them in there because they can add a lot of fun and flavor to a campaign or one-shot. So, what is our first monster, Joshua?
Our first monster, Keith, is going to be the Rust Monster.
Yes, the Rust Monster is actually a very good one. They're only a CR 1/2.
Yeah.
They don't do a lot of damage. They're not high in hit points. But why do we love them?
We love them because they can, like their name, rust like a monster. Every hit that you deal to them, they can take off from your weapon, the non-magical, of course.
Yeah, and since it's such a low CR level, it's going to be lower level parties. More than likely, they're not going to have magical weapons. Even higher parties with non-magical weapons, they can really cause some just fun problems with. Because again, anytime they hit, or anytime the Rust Monster gets close and with their antenna, they get within 5 feet, they don't even need to attack. They can automatically corrode metal that's unattached to a person, or if it's attached to a person, I believe they just make a DC like 12 dexterity save.
DC 11.
DC 11. And if they fail that save, with the antenna, the Rust Monster can actually start rusting their sword, their armor, their shield, anything metal, even if it's being attached or carried. So that can really cause some fun problems with the party, especially once they realize their sword or armor is getting corroded away. And there are things to it. I think it's -1, like on a weapon, it's -1 for damage for every time it touches the Rust Monster. And for armor or shield that is touched by the antenna, it's -1 each time. And if a shield really just takes 2 damage, it's gone. It's worthless. And if armor gets down to an armor class 10, it's gone and it's useless. So they can really add some fun. And like you had pointed out before when we talked about this, they're unaligned, so they're not just going to go after the party, but they will go after the metal. They can sense that metal within, I don't know, what's the distance?
I think it was 60 feet.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent amount of distance. So once they sense that on the party, they're not going to want to attack the party. They're just going to be going after the metal, and the party's not going to realize that, and obviously they're going to fight them off, and that's where the fun begins. So that's number 1. All right, so number 2 on our list is the Intellect Devourer, which is just a CR2. But, as we know, they can be extremely dangerous. Why is that, Josh?
Extremely. So, the wonderful thing about an Intellect Devourer is that they, for one, have blind sight within 60 feet. Yeah. So you come even invisible, or whatever have you, within 60 feet of this creature, it knows that you are there. Now, within 300 feet, it has the intelligence sentience. So if you have a intelligence score 3 or higher, it knows which direction you are in, and barriers do not really prohibit that or rock walls.
Right, and pretty much any party member is going to have an intelligence of 3 or higher, obviously. Yeah, if you rolled less than that, there's something going on.
Yeah.
But anyways, so there's a couple other small things that they have. Their resistance to bludgeoning, slashing, a couple different things they've got resistance to, which is pretty good at a low level. Their armor class and hit points are low, but it's really what they can do.
So they have Devour Intellect. Right. So what it can do is it can damage a person, but the person has to make a intelligence saving throw. Now, if they fail that, I want to say a DC 10 or 11 saving throw.
No, intelligence is 12, DC 12.
And your intelligence automatically drops to 0. Wait, no.
If you fail, you take the damage, but then you roll 3d6. If that number equals your intelligence or above, then you drop to 0.
And you're out.
And so your DM, that is a question on is a person dead with a 0 intelligence score? Are you brain dead? Does that mean you're
just
dead?
Brain dead.
And that's probably something fun that you can play along with your DM. The DM can allow you to come back and stuff like that. But,
yeah, like personally, I would say that a greater restoration would resolve that or a wish spell. But also, you would keep your hit points. You just can't move. You're brain dead. You're incapacitated.
And at a CR2, more than likely, no one in the party is going to have greater restoration or wish. So good luck with that.
Exactly.
And then, okay, let's say they're incapacitated, which doesn't just mean 0 hit points. There are other conditions that allow you to be incapacitated, like paralyzed. I think stun's another one. There might be one other I'm not thinking of. Petrified. But what happens if the intellect devourer attacks you while you're incapacitated?
Well, the fun thing that intellect devourer can do is that it has a contested, I want to say, intelligence score. You have a battle of the minds between it and a stunned or incapacitated creature. Now, this, once again, like he said, it could be incapacitated in many different ways. It doesn't have to be from the first effect the intellect devourer can do.
Right.
It'll just bamf into your brain. If you fail, eat your brain, retain your memories, your skills, and everything, and that's it.
Yeah. It keeps its intelligence, wisdom, charisma, but then takes the rest, including hit points, of the target. So if you were just stunned and you're full health, it takes you over. And it basically devours your brain. You're done. Unless you have to have a wish spell or
already have protection from evil and good on you to prevent it.
And that will prevent it, but the wish spell has to be done within 1 round of this happening. If you don't do it within 1 round, your character's gone. And this is, again, a CR2 creature. So you want to have some fun and mess with your party, throw one of these at them in a dungeon or something, especially because this thing will know you're coming.
And like we were talking a little bit earlier, mind flayers. These are literally their pets. So if you have a mind flayer or an Elitharid, which is almost all mind flayers, almost all like little dudes, are meant to incapacitate. So having 2 or 3 of these little pets with you, even for
a high-level party, because they're dealing with the Elitharid and stuff. If one of those party members go down, the little intellect devourers go over and start munching on their brain, it's lights out. So that is a very, very deadly creature that is low CR. All right, so monster number 3 on our list
is a black pudding.
Yeah, very delicious dessert. So they're a CR4, and what are some of the things that make them very difficult? One, right off the bat, is they are hefty. They have a good amount of hit points. They start off with, if you do the averages, 85 hit points. They're not hard to hit, but still, that makes them last quite a bit of time.
The next thing that I really like about them is I always love the video game style of dropping in on the party. They have spider climb as well as a 20-foot climb. So if you already position that thing above the party as they come in, drop a freaking 85 hit point creature on top of your party.
Much like the first monster we talked about, the rust monster, they can also corrode weapons and armor. Whether you're hitting it or it's hitting you, it can do that same type of damage.
I think it might just be if you're hitting it. I'm not
sure
if
it's
it's about the armor.
Pseudopod, when it hits with the pseudopod, you can do the same thing. Yeah, so even if it hits you, and again, that would be a flavor addition by the DM on maybe if you block, like your armor class is 16, it rolls a 15 to where you would say you block with your shield, but then guess what? It's going to start damaging that shield. Or if it actually hits you, it hits through the armor, it can still start damaging the armor, so that can be another problem.
Last thing it can do, which is my favorite, is split. If you hit it with lightning or slashing damage, it doesn't really matter how you're doing it. If you're doing it, it can split using its reaction as long as it has 10 hit points. So it can go from that 85 hit point, let's say you knock it down by 5 HP with a slash, it goes to 40-40.
Yeah,
you do it again.
It splits into 2. And then you know what? Someone attacks one of those. They're down to 32 hit points. They split into 16-16. Now you've got 3 to deal with. So it can really get
ugly.
Yeah, it can really get ugly quick with a black pudding.
So this brings us back to our number 4 creature. What's our number 4 creature, Keith?
Number 4 is the banshee.
The banshee's really rough. She doesn't have a great armor class. It's just a 12, so it's going to be pretty easy to hit her. But she has a lot of immunities and resistances to a lot of crap.
Yeah, necrotic, poison, and something else that she's actually immune to, but then she's resistant to so many other things: acid, fire, let me see the list, lightning, thunder, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing, all from non-magical. But again, at a CR4 rating, most parties don't have magical weapons yet, unless you're a really generous DM and you've given them to them. So that's going to make her last longer, about 58 hit points on average. But that is, being resistant to almost every type of damage that a party can do is going to make her last, almost twice as long with that. But then what can she do to a party?
So two things that I really like from her is, one, she's incorporeal movement. I love messing with my party with that. I love sending her into other rooms for her to kind of take a second and come back in and get a surprise attack on people.
Right.
But she also has horrifying visage. Horrifying visage that I love. if anyone within 60 feet can even see her, she can activate this as many times as she wants, and it's a DC 13 Wisdom saving throw. You fail that, you are frightened of her for 1 minute or until you save at the end of your turn.
When they go and try and make their save at the end of their next turn or every turn after, if they can still see her, they have disadvantage on that save, which makes it that much harder for them to break. So, and you know, if you're not metagaming, you're not going to know to look away. Yeah, you're frightened of her, but you know, you could play that how you will, role play it. But you know, for fun, some people may just be, when you're shocked of something, scared of something, you may just sit there and still stare at it, you know, and that's going to make it harder to break.
Yeah, because why would you want to look away from something you're scared of? Like,
Exactly.
oh no, I don't.
I mean, I want to keep looking at it and just like, oh, holy shit. That's why I stare at Josh a lot. So the other thing that is just very deadly that she has, and she can only do it once per day, which is a good thing because at CR4 this can really F you up, is she has her wail. Anybody within 30 feet that can hear her has to make a DC 13 Constitution save. You take 3d6 psychic damage, but if you fail that save, you immediately drop to 0 hit points. It doesn't matter how many you have. You can be 15th level. You have a bad roll on a Constitution save, a 2, and someone threw a banshee at you for no reason, you're 0 hit points. You're incapacitated. You're out. Down.
Nada.
That's tough.
Zip.
And for a 4th level party, that can be ugly.
Bam.
So Banshee has a lot of great things about her that just makes her a very difficult, very challenging CR4 creature.
Of course.
All right, so the 5th and final creature, which is a personal favorite of mine that I used in my homebrew, is the bode. And it's the only creature that we pulled from Volo's guide for this. Let's talk about the bode.
I've actually never used the bode. I never even really heard of the bode before talking with Keith, which is another reason why we thought this video would be so good. So I don't really have too much on them. Other than their hit points are pretty good, 58 hit points. Their armor class is pretty good as well, a 15 armor class.
Yep.
But they're also challenge rating 6, so a 6th level party should be able to hit them relatively easily.
Right. So the first thing, one of the things they can do is as a bonus action, they can do the Aura of Annihilation, which means any creature within 30 feet that ends their turn within 30 feet, right? Or starts their turn. It's either starts or ends their turn within 30 feet. Automatically takes 5 points of necrotic damage. There's no roll, there's no save. As long as the Bodak turns that on as a bonus action, it happens. Which is right there, can slowly start chipping away at parties.
And then, you know, let's just say I'm a paladin or a barbarian running into this attack, so I already take 5 hit points and I'm running into attack you. What then happens?
Or even a ranger shooting and looking directly at him. If you can see, if the party member can see the Bodak's eyes, and again, this is something that the DM will have to probably make a decision on, is if they feel like the person's looking at their eyes when they're attacking them, until the party maybe catches on. If you can see it, you have to make a DC 13 Constitution saving throw. And a couple of things on this. First of all, the worst part is if you fail by 5 or more, so if you roll an 8 with your bonus or less, drop to 0 hit points just from seeing their eyes. All right, let's say you fail the save, you take 3d6 psychic damage. The good thing is, which lessens this a little bit, is if you do save, you take no damage.
Really?
Yeah, you take no. So it's not halved on a save. So that takes away a little effect if they save. But again, there's nothing in the book that says you're immune to it if you save. Like a lot of things, once you save, you're immune to that the rest of the fight. This one doesn't say that, so they can keep doing it.
If it can see someone within, I think it's the same. Is it 60 feet?
No, it's within 60 feet.
60 feet. It can do its withering gaze.
Yes. And it's withering gaze.
Its withering gaze is the same thing, a DC 13 con save?
Yep, con save.
Con save, and if you fail, you take 4d10 damage. If you
Necrotic.
save, you still take half.
Yeah, so that's quite a bit of damage. I mean, the average is what, 40-10 is like 22 or something like that.
Yeah.
And so even half is 10. That's a pretty good amount of damage. Plus with that, the Aura of Annihilation, which is chipping away at 5 each time. And then when you make your move, seeing its eyes, you can take damage. So it's 3 different types of ways that this creature can cause damage on every single turn.
Honestly, and I looked at it, I was like, oh, it only has 1 action. It can only do this. The thing of a Bodak is the beauty of it not happening on its turn. Its damage is dealt outside of itself.
Yeah. Yeah, which makes it more deadly. And again, we talked about this real quick, and I'll just throw this in there real quick. I threw this at my homebrew campaign, and I had 3 of them because they were fairly decent high level. The bode axes CR6, they were fairly high level, all with magical weapons. So I had to really make these encounters tough. So I threw 3 at them in this enclosed basement room. You know, I just had them sitting there in chairs waiting, and they weren't sure what to do. So they did start approaching these things, and they looked up. And the damage comes from so many different ways. If you look at it, if it looks at you, if you just finish your turn within a certain amount of distance, the party had no clue where this damage or why it was happening. So they were trying different things to try and figure it out. You know, they look at it and shoot an arrow, and I'm like, roll DC Constitution save. Yeah, like why? Hey, then when someone finished their turn, okay, you just took 5 points of necrotic damage. Why? You don't know. So it confused them a lot. I think my brother was one who kind of figured out and said, I just aim in the direction I think he is and turn my head. And I was like, okay, roll it, attack at disadvantage. He was like, do I roll the save? And I'm like, no. So then they started slowly figuring out some of the things. And that's just what makes encounters so much fun like that, when they really have to think about how to take on these creatures. So that was a lot of fun. But that is the top 5. And we are going to actually throw in a bonus 2 that didn't make it. And they're very low CRs. They're both actually a half CR rating. But they both have one single thing that Josh and I both like that can really cause problems for low-level parties. What's the first creature?
My favorite one is the Cockatrice. The Cockatrice is amazing.
Yes.
I love them so much. I've loved them through mythology and everything. But what they can do is they bite you. You've got to make a Constitution saving throw or be petrified for 24 hours. That can really mess with the party.
Right. And this is a half a CR creature. Now, they're not very tough. They don't have a high armor class. They don't have a lot of hit points. But the fun thing is you throw a couple at a party, all they need to do is get that one hit in there, and they can really mess you up. So that makes for a lot of fun.
You make like a giant's hen house that's actually just all cockatrices.
Yeah. And the party wins that encounter, but then they've got to drag a petrified friend back. Because no one's going to have restoration or anything at first or second level when you're fighting something like this. So yeah, it'll make for some fun, and the poor bastard who's petrified can just sit there and role play being petrified. And what is our other monster? I'll go with it. So the other monster that we have, which is the bonus, is a magnet, and we just kind of like that because of the fact that they just explode upon death. They can ignite things that are not attached or being carried, and just light them on fire. And then they also do, what is it, 2d6 damage?
Yeah, 2d6 fire damage.
Yeah, so they're only a half, but 2d6 when you're a low level party is a lot of damage. I mean, you roll well and you get about 8 or 9, you can basically take out some first level party members. They're like, boom, I get the killing blow, great, bam, and they're just lit. Really, it just they can just light the place up. All right, so anyways, that's it for the video. Go ahead and comment below and let us know some of the monsters that you think would be great to use in a campaign or one shot that probably doesn't get enough run. Josh, thank you for doing this video with me. Always a pleasure.
Oh yes, always. I absolutely love it.
So yeah, don't forget to follow him at NPC Voices. He's on Instagram, Twitter, and supposedly TikTok. I'm thinking about just stop saying that. Don't forget to follow me here at fire.and.dice on Instagram. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Click that like button. And everybody, thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. All right, take care.